So this video is on chapter 6, classwork number 1, page 2 through 5. Now on this, in period 3 and in period 6, we did not complete this whole thing. We submitted where we stopped. In both classes, we got through 6.1 and we got through 6.2. In period 3, we got through 6.3 and we started the beginning part of 6.4. In period 6, we got to 6.3. I assigned each group one of these to do, which is what I also did in period 3, but we got it done before we left class. So each group had one of these to do. And then we did not get to 6.4. So they're going to complete the one from 6.3 that I asked them to do and then just hit submit. Okay, so what's happening with this assignment is we are trying to figure out how to change this y = mx + b form or forms that aren't like this into this form. So this form right here, y = mx + b. This form we call slope-intercept form. Okay, we call this slope-intercept form. And the reason we call it slope-intercept form is because we can find the slope and the y-intercept looking at the equation. In the equation, this m is our slope. And this b, okay, and when I say b, the sign of it also, so positive b, or if it was a minus b, negative b, that is our intercept. And when I say intercept, I mean y-intercept, okay? So again, this right here, m is equal to slope, and our b is equal to the y-intercept. And again, we call that slope-intercept form. Okay, so as we're doing this, you might want to pause, try the problem on your own, and then come back and check your answers, because I did have students do these problems and then we discussed the answers afterwards. On this, it says you now have a lot of experience working with equations that compare two quantities. Today, you'll apply your equation solving skills to rewrite equations with two or more variables. So on 6-1, Georgia joined the big race. This is the tricycle race that we saw first semester. Her race can be modeled by the equation y = 3x + 4. Okay, so y = 3x + 4, where x is time in seconds and y is distance in meters. Now, what they want us to do is they want us to figure out how much of a head start did Georgia get. Okay, what was her head start? And how can you tell from the equation? And we also want what was Georgia's rate of speed, or basically how fast she was going. And again, justify it. Okay, so you might want to pause, answer those, and then restart. So for the head start you're going to get from your y-intercept, okay, that 4. That is going to tell us her head start. So for this, I'm going to type it here. Georgia had a 4-meter head start. It is the y-intercept in the equation y = 3x + 4. It is the number without the x, called the constant. That's what we call it. Okay. Now, for her rate of speed, the rate of speed is going to be her slope, which is that 3. Okay. So Georgia's speed is 3 meters per second. It is the slope in the equation y equal 3x plus 4. It is the number with the x when the equation is in y equal form, or that slope intercept form. Okay, so now 6-2. So on 6-2, changing forms. So on this one, it says you could find the slope and the y-intercept of the line y equal 3x plus 4 quickly because the equation was in y equal mx plus b form. And again, we call that form slope-intercept form. But what if the equation is in a different form? Explore this situation below. So in this situation, we have the linear equation when negative 6x plus 2y equal 10. And this is written in standard form. It says here, can you easily tell what the slope of the line is, what the y-intercept is? Predict these values. So a fast note here, okay? I talked earlier up here about the form that we call slope-intercept form, okay? So I'm just going to rewrite that. When we have y equal mx plus b, that is called slope-intercept form, okay? And we're going to be talking about another form that they're calling standard form. And standard form is in the form ax plus by equals c, where a and b and c are capital letters. We write them as capital letters, okay? And again, this form is called standard form. It's when you have your x and y on the same side of the equal. So again, we have, let me just highlight it. This one is standard form, and this one is slope-intercept form. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to make a prediction using this equation here, negative 6x plus 2y equal 10. And you want to tell me what you predict that the slope is and what you predict the y-intercept is. So you're going to want to pause this and give me your answers. Now, I'm not going to, when you get back, I'm not going to tell you the answers, but you want to have a chance to write them down before we do the next step. Okay, so we're going to come back to what the actual answers are. So you, again, should have taken a guess on what you think the slope is and the y-intercept is from this equation. Now, what they want us to do is they want us to graph this. Now, graphing this is not as easy because it's not in the nice slope-intercept form. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this equation, negative 6x plus 2y equal 10, and they want us to make a table, and then from that table, graph it. So I'm going to make a table, x and 1. And when you make a table, you can choose whatever values you want, but it's nice to have negative values. It's nice to have positive values, and it's always nice to have 0. So what I'm going to do is I am going to do -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Okay, so I've got my negative values I'm trying, I have some positives, and I have 0. So we are going to substitute these into the equation. And what we're going to do is we're going to put them in place of that x. Okay, so for example, if I start with -2, I am going to go -6 times -2, again, I'm going to put it in for my x, plus 2y equal 10, and I'm going to solve this. I'm going to solve this and find my y. So this is going to be 12 plus 2y equals 10. I'm gonna solve by minusing 12 from both sides. I get 2y is equal to -2. I'm gonna divide both sides by 2, and I get y is equal to -1. So I have a point -2, -1. So now what I want you to do is do the same thing for -1, 0, 1, and 2. So you're going to plug -1 in place of this and work it out the same way I did and come out with your y. Then do the same thing and put 0 here, work it out and come out with your y, and 1 and 2. So you can pause, do that, and then I'm going to go through the answers with you. So the answers that you should have gotten for -1, you should have gotten a 2. For 0, you should have gotten a 5. For 1, you should have gotten an 8. And for 2, you should have gotten an 11. Okay, so again, we're doing the same thing. So for example, let's say I was doing the 2 down, or let's do the 0. So if I was doing -6 times 0 plus 2y equals 10. And again, I put in my 0 in place of my x. If I was to work that out, -6 times 0 is 0 plus 2y equals 10. So that is just 2y equals 10. I divide both sides by 2 and I get y equals 5. Okay. Now they want us to take these points, -2, -1, -1, 2, 0, 5, 1, 8, and 2, 11, and plot them here on this graph. Now, since I need to get down to -1 and up to 11, I am going to put my x-axis a little lower so I can get further up. And since I need to get to -2 and 2, in terms of left and right, I'll just put my y in the middle like this. So this is my y-axis, this is my x-axis, and then plot these. So you're going to plot -2, -1, -1, 2, 0, 5, 1, 8, 2, 11 here on this graph. So you might want to pause and graph them and then check your answers. So I'm going to graph this now. So -2, -1 is right here. -1, 2 is here. 0, 5 is here. 1, 8 is here. And let's see, -1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, I think I'm off on this one. Sorry. Let me just move this one down here and this one here. Let me just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So then my last one, 2, 11, 2, 11. So that's 8. 9, 10, 11. And then I'm going to draw a line through these. And let me just adjust it. Okay, so there's my line. So now, if you're looking at this, look and see the slope you have and the y-intercept you have, do they agree with this picture? Because this is the graph of -6x plus 2y. So if I am looking at this, my y-intercept is right here, which is at 0, 5. So my y-intercept should have been 5. Then my slope, how am I moving from one point to the other? I'm going up 1, 2, 3 over 1, 1, 2, 3 over 1. You can see here that every time I'm adding 3, adding 3, adding 3, adding 3. So my slope should have been 3. Now, a lot of us did not get this. I would say actually no one got this as their choices. A lot of people said that their slope was -6 and their y-intercept was either 2 or 10. And so it's not easy to find your slope and your y-intercept from this point, this equation. Okay, standard form is not as nice. What's the nice form? This slope-intercept form. So what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite this, which is in standard form, in slope-intercept form. That's what they want us to do on letter C. So it says now use algebraic steps to rewrite the equation -6x plus 2y = 10 in y form. Does your new equation match your graph for part B? So what does that mean? Well, that means I'm going to take my equation, which is -6x plus 2y = 10, and I'm going to try to get it to be y equal. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I am going to try to get this 2y by itself. What does that mean? I do not want this -6x here. So to undo a -6x, I'm going to add 6x to both sides. Now, when I do that, I end up getting on this side just a positive 2y. And then here, you can either write it as a 10 plus 6x, or I'm going to write my 6x first and then put my plus 10. It doesn't matter the order of my 6x and my 10. Now, the next thing I want to do is get my y by itself. So I don't want that 2 there. So to get rid of that 2, I'm going to divide by 2. Now, I could divide this whole side by 2, but I want to see my slope and my y-intercept separately. So I'm going to divide this by 2 and this by 2 like that, instead of all together. Now, when I do that, I'm going to get y equal 6 divided by 2 is 3, so I get 3x. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So this is my equation in slope-intercept form. So now you see your slope is 3 and your y-intercept is 5. And so you see that matches up with my graph. This is what I should have had up here, but again, a lot of people probably guessed differently. Now, the next thing we're going to do is you're going to pick one of these to try. Each row had a different one to do, okay? I'm going to allow you to pick one of these, and I'm going to go through the answers to each of these, but you only had to do one of these. And then you wanted to give me, after you put it in y form, the slope and the y-intercept, okay? So you might want to pause, try one of them, and then fast forward to that problem and see if you got the right answer. Okay, so I'm going to start with letter A here. I'm going to do A, C, and E all here because I can see them. So on A, I have 2x plus y equals 3x minus 7. I'm trying to get my y by itself. Here's my y. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to minus 2x here. I'm going to minus 2x here. And I get y is equal to x minus 7. That is my equation. And then they want us to identify the slope, which is 1 because of the x, and the y-intercept, which is -7. Okay, C. 3y plus 2 equals 2y minus 5x. So I want to get my y by itself, but first I want to get my y's together. I have y's on different sides. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to minus 2y here, minus 2y here. When I do, I end up with y plus 2 is equal to a -5x. Then I want to minus 2, and I end up with y is equal to -5x minus 2. This is going to be our equation. And then our slope is -5, and our y-intercept is -2. Now E. So for E, okay, let me do E. So E is 5 minus 3 times x plus 1 is equal to 2y minus 3x plus 2. So first thing I'm going to do is distribute and get 5 minus 3x minus 3 equals 2y minus 3x plus 2. I am going to get my y's on the same side, and I have my y's over here. So that's good. Now I'm going to, maybe let's combine like terms. So on this side, I have a 5 and a negative 3. So that's going to be 2 minus 3x equals 2y minus 3x plus 2. I am going to add 3x to both sides. And when I do add 3x to both sides, I end up with 2 is equal to 2y plus 2. I then am going to get the 2 to the other side. So I'm going to minus 2 minus 2. When I do, I get 0 is equal to 2y. And I'm going to divide for my last step, both sides by 2. And so when I divide by 2, I get 0 is equal to y. And that is our equation. Now, if that is our equation, your slope is going to be 0 because I have no x. And your y-intercept is also 0. So now I'm going to do the other 3. So B, so for B, for B, we have x plus 2y. Let me just get it over a little bit. Okay, we have x plus 2y is equal to 3x plus 4. I want to get the y by itself. So I am going to minus the 2x first. I'm sorry, the x first, and I get 2y is equal to 2x plus 4. And for this, I'm going to divide by 2, and I'm going to divide each of these separately by 2 so I can see my slope and my y-intercept. I'm going to get y is equal to x plus 2. So this is my equation. My slope is going to be 1 because when I have an x, it's really a 1x. That's a plus there. And then my b, my y-intercept is going to be 2. Okay, so, whoops. So now let's try D. So for D, I am going to have 2 times y minus 3 equals 2x minus 6. I'm going to distribute. So I'm going to get a 2y minus 6 equals 2x minus 6. Let me first add 6 to both sides, which means when I do that, I get 2y is equal to 2x. I then am going to divide by 2, and I get y is equal to x. So my slope is going to be 1, and my y-intercept is going to be 0 because there's not a plus anything here. It's really like a plus 0. Okay. Now the last one. letter F. I'm going to do F up here. Okay, so letter F. I'm going to have X and I'm going to distribute. Let me just write it first. Minus Y plus 2 equals 2 times 2X plus 1. Okay. So I am going to distribute. So I get X minus Y minus 2 is equal to 4X plus 2. I am going to minus X from both sides. Minus X, and I'm going to get a negative Y minus 2 is equal to 3X plus 2. I am going to add 2. I'm going to add 2. And this is where you got to be careful. Again, remember that negative came down here. Hopefully you brought it. And so I'm going to get a negative Y is equal to 3X plus 4. But I do not want negative Y. I want a positive Y. So I am going to divide everything by a negative 1, which really is going to make everything opposite. So I'm going to get a positive Y. I'm going to get a negative 3X. I'm going to get a negative 4. That's my equation. My slope is a negative 3, and my y-intercept is a negative 4. And so as long as you can get through 6-3, then you can submit. And I'll kind of talk about 6-4 with everyone tomorrow.